fire. So anyway, try to be peace. So the reason I didn't come out while it potentially was snowing, albeit it was probably very light, is to avoid any type of setup. And if one were to take stock of their lives, and I have, they might see that they were surrounded by and set up by morons often. Even a surprise birthday party can be a setup. Because even though it seems well gestured, who are the people setting up versus who are the people who wind up being surprised? You see what I mean? Do you really want to be the recipient of a surprise party? Because how good are the intentions of those who orchestrated and organized surprise parties? So technically I have a friend, you know, she's a good person, you know, from my younger years, and there's a surprise party in the mix there. It wound up being a double surprise party because a new friend was met during college years, and it turns out her birthday is the same as mine. So within the weeks leading up to this alleged surprise birthday, in fact, she was part of the setup because she took me out to, she's like, you want to grab lunch? And I'm thinking, okay, cool. So she knew about the surprise birthday party and then shared in the gift giving, gift receiving. So that was a little odd. It was a little weird. And interestingly, her name was Tammy. I think she spelled it Tammy. So anyway, this is going way back. And then one that seemed sort of impromptu, I actually had the flu my freshman year of college, and I would turn 18 in December of my freshman year, so I was 17 up until December 1st, and I wound up getting the flu. For a second I would think it was around Easter, but my birthday was in December, and I know I had the flu because she called and somebody would try to change it in memory land because they can take out and insert. So, whoops, yuck. I know no one should have to, right? The restaurants should have to clean it up. I know what you mean. So they create it, right? They help. They're enabling the. So anyway, I recalled, you know, I lived on campus at the time, and I ran home. Here comes a runner. I thought I was debating whether to use the word run, or I ran home because this runner coming. That's how bad it gets in overly timed land. But anyway, I ran home from, you know, my dorm to hang out with my mom at home. I didn't feel well, and it was my birthday-ish weekend. I get a call from my stepmother, my dad's second wife, and she's like, oh, can you come over? I forget what kind of excuse she made, but this would be the first time ever in 18 years, and, you know, so we'll say 16 years, because she was, you know, technically part of my life from age 2 on, because I was 2 when they got married, when my dad married his second wife, and then I turned 3 a few months later. They were married in 1973, but September of, so I turned 3 a few months after September of 1973. So anyway, so I get this call, and it's like, I was like, oh my, you know, I'm like, my body was completely achy. I'm like, I actually have the flu. You know, I actually was not feeling well. That's an actual thing. Here's some daffodils. Everything's coming up, roses and daffodils, whatever they are. So anyway, but she kept going on and pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's like, I guess I'll go over because she won't stop, like, trying to force me to come over. Rival Brothers coffee roaster here. Didn't know that they were here. When I get over there, it turns out they set up a surprise birthday party, which included people I knew, but they were mostly friends of my stepfamily. Like, technically, they were really all friends and did things together more often. It did include someone who was sort of a romantic-ish interest. And anyway, I was only 17 when we met, I didn't think about it because freshman year of college, and you know, everybody does all kinds of stuff. They go to parties, whatever. But technically, he was already like 19 or 20 because he was in school later. He was like more adult-like, or that's a bad description for him. He was just older. So he was already just about 20, if not already 20, by the time I was turning 18 and when I was still 17. So he sort of, you know, breakfast sandwich, and I just smelled a breakfast sandwich in the lobby of the Latham, and that guy is eating a breakfast sandwich in a box there. So anyway, curious what the breakfast sandwich setup and reference is. I rarely eat breakfast sandwiches because I eat a certain way and that would be a little bit too heavy. Anyway, so what I realized is one of the times that this guy who was a little bit like cozy with me when I was 17, even though I kind of don't fault him because I was in college and I didn't even think of it. One of the times was for a birthday party, or not a birthday party, just a regular party of a friend of my step-siblings. I believe my stepbrother and stepsister, like, I almost feel like they orchestrated and arranged for everyone to go back to my dad's house, but my dad and Barbara on this occasion, and this would have been like in the fall when I was 17 before I turned 18, arranged for everybody to go back to the house. My dad and stepmother were away for some rare reason. They were away that weekend. I don't even think they, you know, went to the beach, or I have no idea why they were away. And in a way, I feel like they were trying to set me up to potentially wind up with child. Because when you're not prepared, it's harder to raise children. If you're young, still a teenager, most men don't help that much, you know what I mean? And it would be really awkward and an icky life. So in retrospect, it's like, how many people have wanted to tear me down? And even my sister, tear down her. Because my sister already had a child, just out of high school. But I'm wondering how thought out and planned it was for this whole thing of me turning 18, and did the guy who was kind of a cozy horndoggish guy, did he realize that I was 17? Did they set him up as well? I almost wondered if they set him up, like, hello, you just turned 18 and this guy is like 20, and took full advantage of it. But although he wouldn't have known, he would have assumed I was 18. Should we go through? So anyway, that's my little thing there. Like, how many times did people need to set up Sharon? Someone who is already, you know, dissociated and traumatized from divorce, desegregation, and then drugs entered the community. So friends, you know, it affected family and friends on some level. So I spent a lot of time alone because I was never invited to a party per se, you know what I mean? I just had a certain personality, and I was